a lot of crazy scaling on the side of playback if you think about it. Like the Ornn provides the additional value from the items, but Karthus just scales. He scales so hard the longer you go. Now the Malzahar is a direct answer to Naafiri actually, and it is a very good answer, but I don't know how you fare against the Karthus later on into the game. There are multiple threats on the side of playback. Take some, just concede the fact that you're not going to proc that rune. Take the spellbook, which allows you to either take defensive summoners when you're being dove, or it allows you to take offensive summoners to assist your jungler. Are we going to see some aggressive movement from playback? I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happens. They're moving straight towards mid lane. They're hoping to catch Odyssey on this quick invade, but they are ready.
30 seconds until
We might just see a showdown between these two, but it's not the whole team covering that choke. And my dad, MDip, going for his flash engage onto Nuts. He's still holding his flash. Did not use it. So it is 2 summoners for 1, actually. Nuts is forced back, but he did not burn any of his summoners. Odyssey will be perfectly happy with that. That just makes their bot lane a lot safer in the early stages, and yeah, Ezreal Lux, they really want a stable lane. They do not want to go into any fights early. Especially here. Karthus Nautilus, there's just so much raw power between these champions. Oh, Sleepy Twink already landing the double daggers onto the onto Kargali's Malzahar. Rocking the passive as well. Rack just poking Yusuf with constant auto attacks. The Ornn doesn't really have great access to the minions right now. He basically has to CS with the Volcanic Fissure. Now, I guess Naafiri can fight for push early, but once we get to a certain point, Malzahar with proper ability usage should just be able to shove these lanes over and over again and just prevent the lane from having any kind of activity. But now we see Hawksbill ganking bot lane just after 3 camps. The bot lane of Odyssey was not expecting that at all. And first blood goes to Time Gear, but Nuts is looking for something in return. Will not find it. That Arcane Shift was a bit on the risky side. He was really looking for some kind of retaliation, but could not go any further. And this is somewhat what we saw. Oh! Hold on. Rack, falling dangerously low, took 2 tower shots. Trying to harass the Ornn. Yeah, with Dorn's Shield and Second Wind, it's not like Ornn is feeling these auto attacks right now. Italy will probably have to build Divine Sunderer before we see any more damage onto the tank. Or maybe it's going to be something else, but I suspect it will be Divine Sunderer just for that 1v1 potential. But yeah, going back to that point about the Kayn, okay, maybe I will not have time to talk about that. Dusk now ganking top. The Javelin lands. Yusuf falls below 400 health, but doesn't feel threatened enough yet to recall, apparently. He's just going to chill right here, but his lane is in a bit of a problematic spot as it just bounced, and now Rack could just be able to keep this freeze. As Yusef's trying to guide this lane into the tower, can Rack freeze this in front of his tower? Taking a lot of damage from minions, but he keeps it going. Now Yusef, does he want to fight in these minions? He used W on the minions, which means Rack has more damage to trade back with. He's going to go for it. Yusef with a flash. He just has to guide the minions into the tower, and he does so, but that is at the expense of his defensive summoner spell. So that flash for Ghost Trade, I still believe it's a win for Rack. We'll see what more he can do with that. Now another hook lands onto Nuts. Has to use Arcane Shift just to prevent more damage from coming in, but he's still below half health. Now Judgy Rock's trading versus the Carpus, but he's just taking clean Qs to the face. And now the hook lands, but here comes the Dust counter gank, and MDib goes way too hard for that kill. It's 1-for-1 on the scoreboard now. Dusk was right to stick around and look for some kind of counterplay, as PlayBack were really fishing for something, but they did not account for the jungler. So now Rack, once again, he's shoving the wave in. The CS lead slowly building, but as I was saying, we're not going to see the effects of this Nidalee until much later. Now we see the Sheen. This is the first power spike where the Nidalee does become a lot stronger in these extended trades, but in the short trades as well. I wonder how Yusef is going to atomize against all this. Meanwhile, with a push created by both mid and bottom, PlayBack just starting the dragon at 6 minutes 40. And they will look to continue the stacking. I feel like with this bot lane especially, they want to look for these dragon takedowns. And then later into the game, just force Odyssey to respond with something, just to prevent that soul from coming in. So Cargilly, a little bit ahead in CS. Oh, but now another hook onto Judgy Rocks. He still does not have flash, so that's easy pickings for PlayBack, and it's 2-1 right now. Hawksbill constantly targeting this bot lane, and it really feels like the right play. The more you accelerate this Carpus, the better your mid game will be. And, you know, top lane doesn't really... You know, top lane will be behind, doesn't really need that much attention looking at the game. Mid lane is doing fine. So this focus is exactly what they were looking for, as, okay, maybe they will actually look for this dive. They will force Yusef to cancel his recall. We are looking for this, but it's just Dusk right now. Does he have enough damage between the Cataclysm and all of the rest of the damage? The exhaust comes in from Yusef, Call of a Forge God as well. Well, that is going to be a kill for the jungler as well as the additional plays for the top laner, so that's how Odyssey is going to respond. They are just looking to get this Nidalee to her first power spike as quickly as possible. But there will be trade-offs on the other side. PlayBack is not just sitting idly, not, you know, doing absolutely nothing. They took the first dragon. They're constantly ganking the bot lane. So it's all about who can better take advantage of the leads that they're building. But just, you know, going off of what I've seen in UNL over the seasons, you know, Carpus is just a very stable late game option. Like, you give him enough farm, he's just going to perform Doesn't really have to do anything special. There just comes a point where his Requiem hits so freaking hard that there's not really a good answer to it aside from like specific champion picks for specific items. As we said, Cargilly doing perfectly fine versus Miss Neferi versus there weren't any solo kills that were allowed to happen. I'm just you know, questioning the tier of the goddess a little bit. I don't really feel like Malzahar is a champion that requires both Lost Chapter and tier of the goddess to function. Malefic Visions do provide you that mana restore on a successful kill, so I feel like having just Leandries alone is more than enough. Now we see, you know, Ornn getting just pierced with javelins constantly by this Nidalee, but his health bar is not really going down. Well, that's an interesting... Hold on. Interesting item choice maybe from the Ornn here. Oh, but no time to talk about that, as Odyssey's bot lane once again targeted. They won't even get the kill onto Time Gear. He just barely survives through the exhaust. And Judgy Rocks killed again. The bot lane of Odyssey once again is getting the short end of the stick. That's the second game in a row. And now Yusuf trying to 1v1 the Nidalee, but it's not a very fair fight as the jungler arrives as well. He takes the assist. Rack96 finally gets the first kill of the game, but it's so hard to kill this Ornn on your own. So once again, the Jarvan is pulled up. Oh, hold on. Oh, this is just a guaranteed takedown for the Kayn, as Nidalee was greeting for some tower damage. A Swift Requiem and an Umbral Trespass means Hawksbill is already up to a significant lead in the jungle. But now, his venture to the top lane means that Odyssey can actually secure a dragon. Pretty good move. We're seeing a pretty competitive game at this point in time. This place will soon be falling. I still feel like PlayBack are in a much better spot if the game continues to just roll along like this, but Odyssey are making moves on the map. They are trying to do something, as now the Never Grasp comes in from Cargilly. The damage is stacking up. Sleepy Twink goes for the all-in, but he does not have enough health. Not even close. And that's just a solo kill from Cargilly on the Malzahar. But now another engage from PlayBack. We are just trying to keep this bot lane down for as long as possible. But now Dust finally coming in with a counter gank. Can they get some more kills on the board? Double kill for the Ezreal as he now runs away from the fed assassin. Will he survive in that spot? Actually, he gets away. Hawksbill decides against the chase. Now finally, with these grass procs and the Divine Sunderer, we are seeing rack up some damage. That pun was intended. As I see Cargilly potentially... Oh. Not sure if Hawksbill intended that dash to happen. Rask is close by, but so is the support. So that is just a kill for PlayBack. As Yusuf is getting dangerously low, but here comes the cavalry. And Dib and Hawksbill. This is a 1v3, I do not think... Well, hold on. He did build a lot of distance here. He is just going to execute against the tower. He does not give any gold to the enemy, but his absence means that PlayBack will be able to take down this tower, most likely. Yeah, just some swift bonks from the Ornn. And that tower will go down. That's the first turret of the game. We are still pretty much even in gold, all things considered. And it's all because of what actually happened bot lane and also what happened mid lane. There's a nice counter gank from Dusk there, and also just a straight up solo kill from the Malzahar onto the Neferi. So, as we mentioned, the Malzahar has a pretty easy time in this matchup. And can just scale quite easily one item after another. Well, Leandrix is already a pretty big deal, but usually you want to wait until, like, Rylai's before you see the true power of his champion. As now MDiv just flashing over the skill shot, and PlayBack going real aggro on this play. Sleepy Twink gets a reset. They're going to continue, and that's a shutdown onto the jungler. Sleepy Twink with 2 very important kills. They choose the right skirmish. That was a big, big moment for PlayBack. As now we see... Oh. Well, not quite the dive yet, but Yusef probably forced to recall at this point. Just look at the damage that he's accruing from all these Brass procs and the Divine Sunderer procs. Yep, the instant TP comes in. Oh, they really want to stop Rack from taking down the tower, and they will successfully do so. Rack did not have support from his jungler. He still went for it. He pays the price. Just look at how strong this Kayn is. Like, this is something that needs to be said about PlayBack. You know, Odyssey may not be that far behind in terms of gold, but these assassins are so scary. And right now, Nidalee is just not equipped to deal with either of them. Needs some kind of armor item. It's not a lot of armor, all things considered, on the side of Odyssey, as now another dredge line onto the Ezreal. But it deals a lot of damage in return. So PlayBack will just wait for another engage. As the dragon is about to spawn, Odyssey do have the river positioning. And will they fight for it, is the question. Rack is committed to this push. I'm not sure if Odyssey wants to go for this when they are clearly in a situation where their top laner just wants to continue putting down pressure on the side lane. Judgy Rocks just gets blown up where he stands. The initiation comes out. PlayBack takes the fight because of course they will. The Requiem will kill at least one. Oh no, actually Rack TP's into the fight, but it's a little bit too late as PlayBack has already killed most members of Odyssey. I am really not sure if this was the right thing to do. Odyssey were kind of stuck between 2 decisions. They didn't set up quite quickly enough to pressure on the side lane. Then they were like, okay, maybe we want this fight, so Rack TPs. But he's much less effective in a situation like this, where he's just not isolated in a 1v1. Now Judgy Rocks, he really wants this kill, but it took so long just to kill the Ornn, so now he's just going to donate another kill to the Shadow Assassin Kayn, who's now 8 kills up. 9 kills up, yeah, I apologize. He's 9 kills up. But he hasn't yet spent his gold. That's a lot of gold that he's carrying in his pocket. But Cargilly does not have the Never Grasp to lock him down, so he's just going to get away with that blue buff. Well, no, he did not get it. But he gets away regardless. That's a pretty big deal, because that's a 1,000 gold Kayn that could have just been killed in that spot. Yeah, I really feel like, considering the situation, Odyssey should have just let Rack do his thing. and trade tower for dragon. The fact that they lost so much just from that dragon team fight really complicates things, as Rack is once again left on his lonesome. The depth charge, the umbral trespass, the call of the Forge God. So much invested just to stop the split push from happening, but honestly, there's not a lot that Odyssey right now is doing on the other side of the map, so we're slowly starting to see this game fall away from Odyssey's hands. The Ezreal is not scaling fast enough with his items. Hargilly caught with another dredge line. Honestly, the hooks from MDib this game have been really damn good. And it helps get Sleepy Twink another kill on the board. Or actually, did Nautilus take that one? Perhaps he did. But yeah, just looking at this Nautilus performance, MDib putting in so much work. Assisting the jungler, assisting the mid laner, just being everywhere at once, it feels like. That's how PlayBack have secured this mid-game lead. But they are now trying to push until the finish line, but now, oh, what in the world was that? What kind of damage? He goes back in, even though the Requiem was fired. I mean, sure. Jarvan takes the shutdown, so not the end of the world. Would have been worse if Ezreal gets it. Hawksbill just going full going full aggro. Taking no prisoners. Because now it's 20 kills to 9 on the scoreboard. The Karthus, we talked so much about the Karthus, but he's far from being, you know, the main character in this game. Hawksbill is having a monstrous game on this Kayn. Now, Odyssey, what do they even do? It feels like they have to resort to some guerrilla warfare tactics. Just when you take these fights, you have to make sure that they end quickly and that you have some kind of numbers advantage. But now, when the map is spread out like this, there's so many opportunities to play for PlayBack to just get the picks themselves. And Hawksbill is now 13-1 in a 22-minute game. Like, these are MJ numbers. Let's not get it twisted. What is this guy doing this game? Getting a little bit ridiculous. As, you know, Odyssey, they really want to keep this mid tower from falling, but I don't know if they can actually do anything about this. Right now, PlayBack want this dragon before the tower, which is fair enough, but once they get this, PlayBack are so strong with their jungle mid combo, it really feels like they could just force the issue. If Odyssey are positioned even, like, inside of a tower, dive could very easily happen. As okay, Rack. Yeah. I don't think there's anything to add here. This is just another kill. That's secured by Hawksbill. Maybe now finally some kind of positive. No. There are no positive. There are no positives for Odyssey right now. It's all just falling apart for this team. They will try to get a pick on the other side. It will take a while before Yusuf falls, but eventually he should. Oh! He has the flash. Just still decides to go for it, but oh, didn't quite land with a knock-up, and now the support is here to turn the tide of battle around. They will get the kill. Arcane shift forward from Nuts. Rat comes in with a TP, but oh, look at the Shadow Assassin as he completely turns Ezreal to smithereens, and here comes the rest of the team. Shadow Assassin Kane's so mobile. He's able to just assist the fight so quickly. Never grasp onto the Carpus. Odyssey trying to get at least something this game. Good silence from Cargilly. That will probably keep him alive, but not for long. As the stopwatch now comes out. Sleepy Twink still alive. Now M-Dip is tanking the tower, and that means Hawksbill has all the time in the world to secure that. And this is not looking like a game of League of Legends. This is looking more like Dodgeball, and PlayBack have basically all the balls on their side of the court. Somehow Odyssey just don't have any balls to throw with. So they're just absolutely getting lambasted from top to bottom. It's not looking great. And it's only now that Rack is actually building some kind of defensive item to protect himself against both Kayn and the Neferi, but their wallets are just not deep enough to get any kind of contest going. And when you give so many of these early kills to the assassins, this is what you have to deal with later. And we have a 2v2 potentially brewing. Hawksbill is waiting in the wings just to kill off the Nidalee. Oh, actually, you know, gets on the Malzahar first. Does it really matter who he chose to kill as the first target? I don't think so. Karthus is not really getting to accomplish much in this game, as now we see another assassin just doing whatever they goddamn want. Won't even be a kill from Dusk, does not have the damage. Umbral Trespass is back off cooldown, as Hawksbill is going to get another kill. What in the world is this? What am I watching? Odyssey are actually, like, it pains me to say this, but they are getting cooked harder than yesterday, and I was not expecting this. I thought that their roster yesterday was, you know, all things considered, it was weaker, but PlayBack have come out firing on all cylinders. Gold lead is so big, and you know, there's still one tier 2 tower hanging for Odyssey. There are many things that PlayBack can still do to push their gold lead, and they're already at a point where Shadow Assassin can just kill pretty much anyone he wants in one rotation. And Dip coming in for the initiation, but he gets struck down by the Never Grasp. One successful pick for Odyssey, but I don't think it's enough. Those were 2 clean Qs from Time Gear. I guess we just forgot about the Karthus and how much damage he can deal too. There's just too much damage. Does it does not matter one bit. This is what I was talking about. Who do you even choose to focus when they all just, like, all the damage just comes crashing down upon you? Odyssey just, like, they couldn't let this happen, and unfortunately they did. Assassins snowballing can definitely look a lot like this. As Jeju holds one minion wave only to die for the 12th time this game. And his AD carry shortly follows. Hawksbill having a bit of fun with it. He dies to the fountain, but I don't think he minds. This game is still pretty much over and done with. Call of the Forge God. That's going to be the end of a jungler. It's only Cargilly and Rack left alive in the base. Right now, this is pretty much a formality as Dusk getting jumped again. This time, he's able to defend himself. PlayBack should be able to finish this off, but I guess, you know, they want to play with their food a little bit more. Odyssey able to defend their Nexus. They're past the 30-minute mark. Odyssey are still alive, but like, for how much longer can it really last? Oh, Judgy Rocks. Oh no. Not again. Like, I'm just looking at the scoreboard and it doesn't feel real to me. Like, Hawksbill is just fed beyond human comprehension. This is Kane playing co-op versus AI, but this is actually a UNL game. I'm just watching this and it's perplexing, really, how one-sided this game is. Well, now Ornn can just pretty much afford to ignore Vanilli. Maybe not kill, but definitely ignore. That's for sure. Well, that health bar is going down. Yusuf is about to disprove my theory as Rack is falling dangerously low. The flash coming in, the bonk on the head, and Yusuf gets the solo kill. Revenge for all of these auto attacks that were placed earlier on him. As Hawksbill just, all he has to do is press R and that Ezreal evaporates. The Nexus will soon evaporate as well. And PlayBack closes this out, averaging way above 1 kill per minute in a 32-minute game.